Hello, and welcome back to Go With The Flow, the podcast where we talk all things writing, learning, and thriving as a student. I'm your host, Shannon, and today I'm joined once again by a few of our amazing Writing Center mentors, Chris, Ava, and Sam. So I want us to go around and introduce ourselves to our listeners who are joining us for the first time. I will start. My name is Shannon, as I said. I'm an English and secondary education major, and this is my third semester working at the Writing Center. Chris, why don't you go next?
All right. Hi, I'm Chris. I am a physics major, and I've been at the Writing Center for about a semester or two now.
Okay, Ava?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ava. I am a music business major, and this is my third semester with the Writing Center.
And Sam?
Hi, my name is Sam. I'm an English major with a writing concentration, and this is my first semester at the Writing Center.
I would also like to mention that we have another mentor, Josh, in the background producing our podcast as usual, so I want to make sure that he gets the appreciation he so deserves. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the most exciting and stressful times of the semester, finals week. So today we're going to be sharing tips, strategies, and survival hacks to help you stay calm, stay organized, and finish strong. For our first segment, we're going to be talking about how finals week can feel like a frenzy. It can feel like a whirlwind with papers, projects, and exams, and maybe even a few late-night panic sessions. So to start us off, let's talk about what finals week really looks like for college students. So Ava, what is the most challenging part of finals week for you?
Okay, I think finals week is always crazy, but I think it's just the amount of things that are going on in the same week, which can be really hard to balance. But I think that the finals are pretty much scheduled in a good way, like they're kind of spaced out, at least my finals are. So I don't have to cram too much, but I know that cramming is also one of the most challenging parts about preparing for finals. And I think that I also have that issue.
I think for me too, I have the problem of waiting to the last minute and then having to cram. So I totally get where you're coming from there. So Chris, what are some common struggles you see students bring to the Writing Center during this time of year specifically?
Well, something that I've seen quite a bit near the end of the year is students will come right before their stuff is due, and they'll be really stressed, and that'll make us stressed. No, but we'll do our best to sort of calm you down and help you organize your way through it. But generally, you'll see students come in who have this assignment and a bunch of other assignments that they want to go over, but we just don't have enough time for that. So we try our best, but yeah.
Yeah, and last week we did talk about procrastination, and I think procrastination goes hand in hand with finals week. So I think if you go back and listen to that other episode, you'll get some great tips to avoid procrastination on top of the tips we're going to share with you today. So going back to Sam, what are some ways that students could manage stress when deadlines start to pile up? I'm sure you have experience in having a lot of deadlines during finals week, so maybe you could share some of the tips that you personally use.
The biggest thing I like to do, especially during finals week, is make sure I'm keeping a to-do list. I use a planner every single day. It just keeps me on track. Another good tip is communicating with your professors or any of your classmates, because when you don't, there's no way of helping you navigate what's going on, whether it's just overload from coursework or outside things happening. But I know any professor would appreciate any communication that needs to happen.
Yes, I also keep a planner, and I try to write in it every day. I know it can be kind of difficult for some people to actually stay on track with that, but I definitely encourage you to at least give it a try, because it can be helpful to have everything that you need to get done laid out in front of you, and it kind of just takes some of that extra stress away. So now we're going to be moving on to our next segment, writing smarter, not harder. So we're going to talk strategy. When you've got multiple essays due, it can really feel paralyzing, but small, smart steps make a big difference. So Ava, what is one tip for students to stay on track when they have multiple essays due during finals week?
Okay, so when you have multiple papers due at the same time, I think it's helpful to break them down into smaller chunks. And it just depends on your writing process and your writing style and how you get multiple assignments done at the same time. If you want to focus on one paper at a time, or if you want to break it down into smaller chunks and work on each of the papers a little bit at a time. Again, it just depends on your style. I feel like for me, I've had multiple writing assignments due at the same time. And what I try to do is sort of work on them little by little instead of just focusing on one paper at a time, because I feel like I get caught up in one paper and then I kind of lose either like my energy or my thoughts in writing the other paper. So I just try to balance them out as much as I can so that I can avoid like putting more effort into the first paper that I decide to work on because I run out of energy after I'm done.
Right. Working on multiple papers simultaneously is, at least in my opinion, probably the best way that you will get an equal amount of effort put into each assignment. You don't want to put too much effort into one because then that might lead to burnout and you won't have the energy to finish or put as much effort into your other assignments. So speaking of burnout, Chris, how could students try to avoid burnout during final season?
I think a good way to avoid burnout is make sure that you're taking regular breaks while you're studying or working on assignments. I feel like a general rule of thumb that I've always followed is 15 minutes for every hour or 30 minutes for every 2 hours. So the break could consist of just going on a short walk or just taking some time to like sit and gather your thoughts and like meditate. It could be anything.
Yeah, I think those are some great tips. And I also, once again, want to remind our listeners that this is the Writing Center podcast. So visit the Writing Center early whenever you can to get extra help and tips and tricks on how to get all of the writing that you need finished for finals week done as early as possible. Moving on to our next segment, the self-care segment. So let's be real. No one writes well when they're running on caffeine and panic alone. So we're going to take a moment to share some of our own personal tips about self-care and what works best for us. So Sam, what is a good self-care tip for exam season that you wish you knew sooner?
I think when I first started college, had I been doing body scans, I would have been able to alleviate more of my stress much easier and much quicker, which would have made my writing process go by significantly quicker as well. Also, just fueling your body, remembering that you need to take breaks to eat or even just for a quick power nap is vital to producing quality work, or that's how it's been in my experience.
I think that's great. And I know when we were in Dr. Concilio's class together, she talked a lot about mindfulness and meditation. And I think those things can be extremely helpful, especially when your mind and body are both under a lot of stress, which of course during finals week there is a ton of stress being thrown in your direction. So those are things that are small but can be very beneficial to your overall health. So Chris, during finals week, how is one way that you manage yourself without overworking to the point of exhaustion?
Something that I do in order to make sure that I'm not overworking myself to the point of exhaustion would sort of just be, sort of like what I said before, which would be pacing myself, taking those breaks. I definitely want to make sure that I'm not sitting for too long. Another thing, I'll always like take some time to go off and like do, for maybe like an hour or two, go off and do something for myself. So I might do like a workout or just, sit down and watch like a short TV episode or something. Just something to get my mind off the work that I've been doing, but not taking like too much time so that it's like actually detrimental to me getting stuff done. Otherwise, if you spend too much time, you're going to start losing focus and you're not going to be as efficient as you could be.
Right, and I think that connects with setting boundaries with yourself, knowing when to stop revising and rest versus knowing when you need to actually get work done. I think it can be very important. Going back to what Sam was saying about having a journal or a planner to keep everything in line, you can also include in your journal or planner these boundaries that I'm talking about so that you have these constant reminders that you need to like go easy on yourself and not overwork. I now would like all of us to share one small joy or ritual that helps you recharge during finals week or during a stressful time. So Sam, why don't you go first?
For me, I like to have a designated sweet treat to look forward to, whether it's like a cookie or a cake, anything like that. It's just a small thing that I can look forward to during my breaks or when I finish an assignment and make it like celebratory, I guess.
Very good. Mine is kind of similar. I love a good coffee. So I will, first of all, try to actually limit my caffeine intake during finals week or it'll get a little too crazy. But I will reward myself with an iced coffee when I finish the things that need to get done that day. Chris, why don't you share a little something?
Something I'll do, like at least before every single class, is I'll sit down for 5 minutes, and especially before tests, and I'll just I'll close my eyes and I'll breathe deeply, like in and out, and just sort of focus on where I'm at that moment. And usually that helps with just getting my mind in the game, you know.
I love that. I think it's really important to take those small moments for yourself so that you can like center yourself, especially if you are about to take an exam or a written essay. Like you need to take that moment for yourself so that you don't get freaked out or overwork yourself. And I just want to remind our listeners that your well-being matters just as much as your GPA. So make sure that you're taking time for yourself and not overdoing it during finals week this semester. So moving on to our next segment, I have some finals week myths, and we're going to go over a few of them because I feel like some of them are seen as wisdom, but they are not so wise. So we're going to debunk a couple of these. So my first myth is you have to pull an all-nighter to get a good grade. So Sam, why don't you tell us why that is so wrong?
You don't need to sacrifice your well-being for a grade, and by getting a good amount of sleep and quality sleep, you'll be able to put your best effort towards whatever the assignment is you're doing. So by making sure you have scheduled enough time for you to work on said assignment, as well as your sleep, by balancing the two, you'll get a better end product than working yourself to the bone and not having enough time to revise or even reconsider points that you want to make in your work.
Yeah, and sleep improves retention. So you can study all night endlessly, but in the morning you might not even remember any of it because of a lack of sleep. So definitely make sure that you're trying to get those Z's in and getting plenty of rest. Our next myth for Chris, it is, you can't write a good paper in one day.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily true. You can definitely write a good paper in one day, but it is definitely recommended that you don't procrastinate when writing your paper. You know, you should make sure that you have all of the structure and organization in order to make it as easy as possible for you to finish that process. So you can write a good paper in a day, but don't procrastinate.
Yeah, I do think that you can write a good paper in one day if you plan ahead and focus. So this goes back to everything that we've been talking about this episode, making sure that you are planning ahead, writing down things that need to get done, because if you want to be able to write a good paper in one day, you need to be prepared and not feel rushed, because there's a difference between sitting down and writing a paper in one day versus sitting down, doing all of your research, finding all of your quotations and sources, and writing a paper in one. So our next myth is revision is optional. Sam, why don't you tackle that one?
Revision is so important, especially in my major. As a writing concentration, there are so many things like spelling typos, grammatical errors, punctuation, or even bigger, like higher order concerns like structure and flow that can be deeply affected if you don't revise it and review your work. So I would strongly advise everybody listening to revise your work, because even in your revision, you can think of points that you might want to expand on, anything you might want to remove, even if it will benefit the work you've produced. Regardless of any of that, just revising is a good thing to do for any work, just to make sure that you're satisfied with the work that you've completed.
Yeah, and I think I might be a little biased as an English major and as a future teacher, but I find revision to be extremely important and very beneficial. And I would suggest revising and then revising again and continuing to do it until you're happy with it. For our next segment, we're going to try to have a little bit of fun and do a lightning round about finals week. So I'm going to ask a quick question, and I want you each to give a short answer. And we'll just go Chris, Sam for each question, okay? You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, number 1. What is your favorite finals week beverage?
Tea.
Absolutely, Dr. Pepper.
All right. Mine is coffee. And number 2. What is your go-to study playlist or your noise level preference?
Usually I'll be listening to chiptune. The noise level does not matter. I'll listen to it at any volume.
For me, I like to go for like soft sounds or like quieter sounds for lo-fi and ASMR. It just helps me focus so much more than music ever does.
I typically listen to like lo-fi hip-hop, but I've found that lately I enjoy quiet while I've been studying, and I never used to be like that, but I'm slowly turning a new leaf. All right, number 3. Chris, what is one word to describe finals week?
Hectic. I
Okay.
usually have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, I would say busy.
I agree. I think I would, probably say crazy, stressful. Any of those words definitely work. Moving on to number 4. Chris, what is the best spot on campus to focus?
The library. Yeah.
Yeah, I can second that. Getting a study pod, or even like with your friends, getting one of the bigger rooms for multiple people, that's very helpful because it's just a nice and quiet environment to be in.
For me, I typically will study in De La Salle on the second floor right outside the English professor's offices. It's usually very quiet there, not a lot of foot traffic, and I am able to focus on all of my work. The only downside is that there's no tables, so I have to use my lap, but I don't mind that because usually I'm typing. And for number 5, Chris, what is one encouraging message you would give listeners right now?
Well, encouraging message. If you have a lot of stuff to do and you sort of feel overwhelmed, a lot of the things that can help you get through it just involves like starting. Just make sure you start. You will get through it. You've gotten this far, and I'm sure you can get through the rest.
Very good. Sam?
I would say don't discredit or diminish your positives. I know during finals week, sometimes it seems like the end result of the project or the test or whatever you're working on is the only success that comes from it. But productive studying, successful studying, anything like that, any part of the process is something to be proud of yourself for. So just reminding yourself that you're doing the work, you're doing your best. I think those are all good things to remember.
Well said. I think that was beautiful. Something I would say is just simply, you got this. It'll be over soon, and everything seems so much more stressful than it actually is, and I'm sure that everything will turn out as well as it should. Okay, and now we will be moving on to our next segment, our most favorite and most exciting segment of the week, our Word of the Week segment. Josh will give us a word without the definition, and hopefully we will be able to guess its meaning. Take it away, Josh.
So the word of the week is desultory.
Desultory.
Ooh.
It's always something new.
I know, like, sultry is like,
Yeah.
Do you want me to spell
Is
it?
it?
yeah.
Desultory.
Desultory.
The O I wasn't expecting.
Okay. It's not like just the opposite of sultry, is it?
No.
Okay.
Can we get, like, origin?
So it comes from Latin and Greek. It means one who jumps down. Now, I will say the origin does not really match up a whole lot with like the current English definition of the word,
Mhm.
but I can give you a little bit of history on it. So this week's word is an adjective, but it originally comes from a noun or a name given to circus performers or equestrian actors or soldiers who can easily and dexterously jump from one horse to another.
What?
Interesting.
So, and the name they would give these people are desultors.
Could you use it in a sentence?
So the writer's essay was desultory.
Oh.
The essay was.
So you said it doesn't really have anything to do with the land definition.
Not a whole lot in terms of like the horse part,
Right. So
but keep in mind the actual like Latin or Greek translation of one who jumps down. So
Okay.
keep that in mind as you think of the definition.
Does it have anything to do with like? Is it like similar to defamatory?
No.
No.
So if I'm thinking of it in the sense of writing, I would think that it has something to do with their transitions,
That's a good start, yeah.
right? Okay.
Okay.
So the Latin definition is them being really good at jumping between horses.
Yeah.
So is it them really being really good at like going between topics?
So actually the
Ooh.
opposite.
Oh, being really
Ooh,
bad at going
bad.
between topics.
So like it's just yammers on about the same thing. I don't know.
Or is it like there's no smoothness or flow to the writing that's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, I would say you're close.
Oh, like it's
Yeah.
rambling.
Yeah. Are you ready for the definition then? Because I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
you guys
sure.
are close on this one.
Oh, good job, guys.
So
We're the best.
desultory means lacking a plan, purpose, or enthusiasm. So
Ooh.
the writer doesn't have like a clear structure or a sense of organization to the paper.
Oh,
Wow,
like
and
We
I
did a
think,
good job.
I think that's really relevant to our episode today.
Yeah,
Don't be
definitely.
desultory with your writing during finals week.
Yes.
All right, so before we close today's episode, I want to remind our listeners that the Writing Center is here to support you through every stage of the writing process. You can make an appointment by visiting My Lewis and clicking the WC Online tab underneath Advising and Academic Support. You can also visit our online writing lab by going to lewisu.edu/writing center. That's all for today's episode of Go With The Flow. Thank you to our wonderful guests for joining me, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Remember, keep writing, keep revising, and take care of yourself this final season. You got this. This has been Go With The Flow. Until next time.